Marcus, if suddenly you hear funny breathing, that's Jack.
Oh, hey, Jack. Jack seems to be very relaxed. That's great.
He's very relaxed. Sometimes he snores. It won't be me. It'll be Jack.
It's good to know. Thanks for clarifying. Chris, it's great to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
In a while, in July, you'll be playing your first Germany shows it's been more than a decade. So my first question is, how come it's been that long, and what can we expect?
Well, let me start by saying it's not because I didn't want to play Germany. I'd love to go. I love playing in Germany, but sometimes it would be just a matter of scheduling. It would be like we had a record to put out, or we're doing something for a film, and then we had a pandemic, and that slowed things down. So this is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to being back in Germany.
What can we expect from the shows? Is there?
Well, I've been rehearsing, so we're ready. And I had my band. I have a place in California, but I also have a place in Nashville. A lot of music comes out of Nashville. And so I've been rehearsing in Nashville with my band. And I try to do, this sounds pretty perfunctory, but I'm surprised how many people don't do it. But I try to play what people want to hear. So, like as opposed to some bands come out and they go, I don't play that album anymore. I play the new album, and I go, yeah, but I came to hear these songs. I want to hear them. So I do Wicked Game, Baby Did a Bad, Bad Thing, Blue Hotel. I try to play songs that people want to hear. And then I always try to throw in something that people did not expect. Like the people go, oh my God, he's going to sing that ballad tonight? Or, I'll do an Elvis or a Roy Orbison or a Johnny Cash tune. I like to mix it up.
When you tour, do you notice a difference between European audiences and American audiences regarding maybe their song requests or how they react?
I'm trying to think, I don't know. I think German audiences are they're pretty close to an American audience in a lot of ways. I think European audiences like rock beat as opposed to shuffle beats, that I don't think they're used to that. You know what I mean? Rock and roll, like early rock and roll was all, and then later on it was that boom, snap, boom, boom, snap, boom, snap. And I think, well, nowadays, I think nobody understands a shuffle beat anymore. Everybody wants a rock beat, but we mix it up. We throw both in.
Cool. Next year, I've been listening to your debut record, Silverstone, a lot lately, and found out that next year will be its 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
I was wondering, you have such a unique sound. You have such a sound that's kind of 50s on the one hand, but with mystique and with a bit of gloom. It's such a really unique kind of sound. So I was wondering, when you developed that sound, what did you have in mind? Who were your influences, and how did you envision
my
it?
sound? It's Elvis meets Oppenheimer. No, it's
that's good.
I think we're a rock and roll band. I've always had I like things that were a little bit moody and dark, and I'll have dark, moody ballads. I liked Orbison when he did sad songs, but I also like rock and roll. So people know me from, Blue Hotel or Wicked Game or Baby Did a Bad, Bad Thing. And I'm lucky because the songs they know me by, they're indicative of what I do. So when they come to the show, I do that kind of music. It's not like they go, oh my gosh, he did something completely different. I do that kind of music. The part that people aren't ready for is that we have a lot of fun on stage. I mean, I make jokes. Sometimes we'll have people come up on stage. Sometimes, usually I'll go out in the audience. And I like to go out in the audience and sing part of the show. It's fun. And it makes the cheap seats in the back into good seats.
That's great. So, I mean, as a guitar player, who were your early influences? Who made you want to play guitar in the first place?
Scotty Moore. And do you know the name Roland Janes?
I think so, yes.
Roland Janes was Jerry Lee Lewis's guitar player. And if you listen, I listened to everything Jerry Lee Lewis ever did, and his early work, the guitar player and all that stuff, is this guy named Roland Janes. And my life has been crazy lucky. All the people that I fell in love with as a kid, I met later on in life. And I don't know how that works. It's like a magical thing. If you love something enough, you find that you drift into it. You know what I mean? It's like, I love Scotty Moore's playing, and I became friends with Scotty Moore. I love Roland Janes playing, and he played with Jerry Lee. And when I came to Nashville, first came here, or when I went to Memphis, sorry, and I went to Memphis and I went to the Sun Studios, and then I went around the corner and I walked up and there was Roland Janes, and I knew who he was, but he didn't know me. And I said, I'm Chris Isaak, and I came here to see the studio. And he said, I'm Roland Janes. I said, I know who you are. I said, I love your guitar playing. And he was on the phone at the time. He goes, just a minute, I have to call you back. There's somebody here who says he knows me. And it was such a thrill to meet, it's such a thrill to meet the guitar players that you go, these are the people that changed my life. They really, I know people, I'm a singer. I'm not a great guitar player, but I'm a singer and a songwriter. But the reason I really, fell in love with the music, Scotty Moore, Roland Janes, those guys, their guitar changed everything. I told Scotty Moore, I got to be friends with him. I was having dinner at Scotty Moore's house, and we're walking from one room to the next, and I tapped Scotty on the shoulder. I said, Scotty, I got to tell you something. And he goes, yeah. I said, thank you. Thank you for the music, because your music changed my life. It made me have the daring and the guts to say, I'm leaving my small town. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to be a musician. I may be broke the rest of my life, but I'm going to try doing it because I heard this guy play and it was so exciting that I just said, I don't care. I got to do that. And Scotty looked at me like, well, thank you. But, I thought it was, and I'm glad I told him, because I like the fact that even though he was, he was in his 70s or whatever, I like the fact that he went, there's a whole new generation going, yeah, we love your music.
Was there a point in your career when you thought, okay, now it's going, now I made it? When things started rolling for you?
I don't think I ever really had that feeling of like, now I made it. Blue Hotel was a hit in France. And when we went there to France, and there were crowds, like there'd be 3,000 or 4,000 people out in front of the place we're playing. I thought the people were there for something else. I didn't know what they were there for. I walked out front to see what was going on, and people went, "Oh, there's Chris," and I thought, these people know me? I had no idea. And then when Wicked Game came out and it was a hit, I knew it was a hit when I was walking through a hotel and I could hear my music in every room. I could hear people playing Wicked Game in every room as I went, wow, everybody's listening to that music. But I had a manager at the time, and Eric Jacobson, very smart guy, and he told me, Chris, he goes, I've done this before. He worked with the Lovin' Spoonful and Tim Hardin and a lot of different acts in the 60s. And he said, when you have a hit, you never get to stop and enjoy it. He said, when you have a hit, it just means you work harder than ever. And that's what we did. And so we had a hit record, and instead of like buying a fancy dinner and, you know, buying a fancy car and taking off a vacation, it just meant we were booked for months and months in advance, and we played every night, and we toured, and we did television shows on our days off. And it was, you never kind of have that moment where like you go, now I made it. You just have a moment where you say, okay, now is the chance that I get to play and show people what my band sounds like.
So you just kept working and working and building and building.
Yeah, we did. And, you know, I'm glad we did, because here we are, you know, almost 40 years later as a band. And my band is, you know, Kenny, my drummer, my bass player, myself, we've been playing for almost 40 years together. And a lot of people can't say that or do that because they either took time off to party or they drank too much or something. But our focus has always kind of been on the music, you know?
When you play in the band that long, or when you have your core people for that long, how does the dynamic change over time as a
Um,
unit?
you know, I think everybody, the reason we held together that long is all of us really respected the audience, and we respected that we felt lucky to be on stage and playing. Like my dad he drove a forklift. Do you know what that is? Does that translate?
Yep.
My dad drove a forklift at a lumber company. Kenny's dad worked, you know, for the telephone company, putting up wires. My bass player's dad was a carpenter and a repairman. So we all came from kind of working class backgrounds. And then suddenly we were making our living by singing and traveling. We thought we died and went to heaven. You know, we were like, you know, when I hear about bands that go, oh, the show is at 9 o'clock and the band didn't go on stage till 10:30. It makes me mad. I think, are you crazy? These are the people who like your music. They paid money to see you, and now you treat them like this. When I have a show and it says 9 o'clock, I'm ready at 8 o'clock backstage. I'm dressed, shaved, my guitar's in my hand. I'm waiting. You know, I want to. We respect our job. We respect our audience, and I think that's what's kept us, you know, all these years. Like we are still happy to have this job.
What about acting? I mean, I suppose it's the same working ethic, but what does acting mean to you?
I love acting, and you know, I've got to work with Bertolucci and Jonathan Demme and David Lynch. I mean, a lot of good directors, and I've been in some good films, but I never thought I had a part that I thought was like the great part for me. There were small parts or odd parts. I always wanted to play something like a film noir character, you know, a down on his luck character running from the police, or, you know, something like that would be fun. So I still hope that someday I get to play something that's more like the film noir kind of films that I love. But I love being in films, but my full-time job, I'm a musician. I write songs. Um, you know, I'm always working on the next album. It's
Speak,
what I do.
excuse me.
It's what I do. It's like, and if you looked at what I spend my time on, I watch old movies. I'm a huge fan of old movies. I know everybody in them and I know the dialogue. But my free time, I play my guitar and I draw cartoons.
Speaking because you just mentioned you're always working on music. What about, is there a new album coming out sometime soon? Are you
Should
working on new
be,
music?
I think in the next year I should have maybe this year, but after I'm doing a tour of Australia, then I do a tour of the US, then a tour of Europe, and then I should come back and if I do my homework, I can put together enough songs to make an album. So, because I have new songs started.
Australia and New Zealand sounds like a good opportunity to go surfing if you have a spare minute, isn't it?
I'm ready. I'm in shape. I keep in shape every day and I'm dying to get in the water. So yeah, usually when I'm in Australia, I get in the water.
So you find the time between the shows and the interview
Yes,
dates and stuff.
I usually do. And sometimes it's literally one of the places we played in Australia. It's a nice place to play, but it's right across the street from the ocean. And there's nothing, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but I went out there and I went, wow, there's nice waves today. I didn't have a surfboard, but I like to body surf too. I just took off my pants. I had my underwear on and I was out there body surfing and I body surfed maybe an hour or two. And then when I got out, I realized a bunch of my fans saw me and here I am in my wet underwear. I was like, oh God, hi, hi, nice to see you.
But that's a great workout. 2 hours of body surfing in the Australian
Oh,
Ocean.
it's fun.
You've got such a beautiful guitar on your lap. Would you show it into the camera for a second and
It's a
talk
Gibson.
about it a bit? Yeah.
And I was cutting these out this week out of mother of pearl and putting them on, and I cut out that out of mother of pearl. It gave me something to do. I like to work on my guitar.
Beautiful. And it's one of your signature things
Yeah,
to have the logo on your guitars. I
I
can
like
remember that since I was a kid. I had it in my brain engraved.
that. You know, years ago, I remember looking at a photograph and they had all these artists from the 1920s, and one guy had his name on his instrument, and that's the only guy that you could identify. And I thought, I better put my name on my instrument.
Do we have to take different instruments when you go to Europe? I suppose you don't want to really take the old vintage gear with you.
I usually take I take the best stuff I've got, you know, I take this and I take my good guitars. Um, I take, I've got the same guitars I use on stage that I use to record, and I take them with me and just, you know, that's what they're there for.
Are you a collector? Do you collect guitars, or do you just have your working machines around you?
Well, I don't collect them in any intelligent way. Let me make that clear. An intelligent way would be the people who collect guitars and they say this is a $100,000 guitar and now it's going to be worth more. I collect guitars because I love playing them. So I might have some guitars that are valuable, but I have a lot of guitars that I love, and they're not really. Well, for example, I have a lot of Gibsons. Gibson is my favorite guitar, but then I'll have like a 1960s Wilson guitar that's from an Italian guitar maker that they made accordions, they made guitars, and it's a wacky, strange looking guitar, and nothing sounds like it. So I love having oddball guitars like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. I have a last question because I think we're already out of time.
Okay.
Your first show was in Germany in October 1985 in Hamburg. I was wondering, do you remember the first time you played in Germany in Hamburg
I
or
remember
in Berlin
playing,
for that matter?
I do remember playing in Germany early on, and we had we were playing a club. I don't know if it was Hamburg, Uncle Poe's.
Yeah, that's Hamburg. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Uncle Poe's. Hey, I guess I do remember. It was Uncle Poe's, and there were so many journalists, and every journalist was a chain smoker back then. And, you know, in those days, everybody could smoke in the place. And we walked out, and we're, you know, of course, the stage is higher, and we're up on the stage. And I went, oh my God, you could barely see us. It was so thick of cigarette smoke. And I just remember getting on stage and going, we need to get a fan or something and open a door, you know, like this is crazy.
Thank God those times have changed now, at least in the
Yes, I
clubs.
think it's a little healthier nowadays. Yeah.
But I have to say respect for memorizing the club's name, because some rock stars can't even remember the stage they're on, and
You
to
know,
remember the.
sometimes you forget the name, but Uncle Post, it was exciting for us. The German audience was one of the early audiences that gave us respect, and they knew the music, and yeah, it was awesome. I also love Germany. When I went to Germany, I wanted to get a phone book and look up Isaac to see if there were any other Isaak, Isaac. And I asked somebody, I said, you know, is that a common name in Germany? Because I'm German. And somebody said to me, Isaac isn't a German name. I said, it isn't? I said, what? My grandparents were lying to me. We're not German. And they said, no, it's a Jewish name. And I said, whatever. I tried to find if there was any Isaacs. I couldn't. It's not a very common name, even in Germany, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll keep looking.
Keep looking. Good luck. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time. It's been a blast talking to you, and I can't wait to see the concert in Berlin.
Well, if you're there at the concert and you get a chance, say hi.
I will, of course, I will.
Okay. See
Okay.
you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.